Now, in this last video of this series, I want to talk about dealing with problems or difficult people. And I want to tell you a little bit about my story. So, I was extremely successful. In 2 years, I became a self-made millionaire from the age of 30 to 32. And everything happened really fast, and I made a lot of money. And then what happened is the stock price of our company fell down, and everything broke down. The stock price went to zero. $40 million that I raised from investors got lost, and everybody pointed fingers at me. And everybody started to hate me, blame me. And what happened, even though I had good intentions, I started to take it very personal, and I fell into a depression. And during that depression, I started to eat, I started to drink, I started to self-sabotage myself, and I fell into an emotional hole. And what happened is it took me a long time, it took me actually years to recover from it. And it got so bad that at one point I lost everything. So I lost my entire money, houses, I got divorced, I had to pay a lot of money there. I was a broken man. So I asked myself, how is it possible that someone who went from such a height, from so much success to zero and lost everything? And during that time, I had to rebuild my life. And I had to change things in my life. And I had to go through difficult times and become a, let's say, newer or better version of myself, build more character, and deal with a lot of difficult people. I mean, it got so bad, I got death threats. I got people writing bad stuff about me on the internet. They used fake names because they couldn't really, for whatever reason. And there was a lot of negativity that was coming against me. And I took it very much to heart because I'm a very emotional person. And if you're emotional, maybe you're emotional like me, it can be your biggest strength, but it can also be your biggest weakness. And you take things very personal. So I had to make a comeback. I had to make a comeback in my life after losing everything. And those things are the things, or those lessons that I learned during that time are the lessons that made me who I am today. And based on that, I also developed Meier International, where I started to write about a lot of things, a lot of problems, or solutions, so to speak, in my brochures over the course of 2 or 3 years to develop things that could maybe help other people as well. And I want to go into a little bit more detail in another program. Obviously, it's called Making a Comeback. But this video, I want to talk about, in a nutshell, about how to deal with difficult situations and difficult people. And the reason is because life in general, or business life, because this program is about business and financial success, is handling problems. The bigger the problem is, and the more capable you're able to deal with those kind of problems, the more money you're going to make. So you should not avoid problems, you should face them. You should be happy for problems because that means that you can deal with that kind of problems and you can move on and you can become stronger and better. And if you do it the right way, you come out successful at the other end. So problems are a necessary and a normal part of life. Going into a depression is something that some people go through in their lifetime, that many people face good times and bad times. And during those bad times, it's when you have to learn certain things and come out stronger on the other end. And I'm going to go into details what that exactly means. Let's first talk about dealing with difficult people, okay? Because there are always going to be people who are a pain in the butt, or people who are going to make your life hell, or are going to be difficult in some way. And there are a few lessons that I've learned along the way. First of all, criticism, okay? Everybody is going to criticize you in some form, okay? So if it's personally, online, or whatever. But the trick is that criticism is normal, and you cannot expect not to get any criticism because people are going to criticize you anyway. They're going to think about what they want to think about you anyway. So if you want to avoid criticism, then there's only one way to do that, which is to do nothing, to have nothing, and to be nothing. Okay, so you cannot avoid criticism. It comes with the territory. So expect people to think negatively about what you do or about you in person. That's just normal. And most people take it very much to heart, and they get offended and they get hurt. And because of that, they don't do certain things that they should be doing because they're afraid of that kind of rejection or criticism. But this is where you need to grow up. This is where you need to understand that you are never, ever the victim. Because most people fall into this victim role where sometimes they stay in it for years, where they say, oh, this person hurt me that way, or that person did that to me. And what you do is you actually give away your power to circumstances or to people because of something negative or bad that happened to you. And because of that, you can never really reclaim that power and move forward because you take it very much to heart. Of course, everybody wants to be liked and wants to get recognition and praise and this and that, but it's just not possible sometimes. And sometimes people are there who are just mean because they just don't want you to see succeed. And now here's very much an important part. No matter what somebody says about you, it has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with them. Because whenever someone feels they have the need to criticize or to belittle you or to give you, hurt your reputation, on some level, they have an issue with something else. It's their problem. They are jealous, they're envious, they have some sort of a personality problem or whatever. Because successful people, they lift others up. They don't put others down. So imagine or realize that whatever it is, it has nothing to do with you. It's that person's problem, okay? Now, the second thing is that we are spiritual beings. So we are made out of energy. That's what I believe. So you are a spiritual being made out of energy, and you're part of the universe, okay? Whatever your belief system might be. And you're having a temporary physical experience. So what happens sometimes is that we lose our spirit or we lose the energy because someone attacks us, okay? And let's say, I'm not that great of a drawer, but let's say that's you here, and you think that here's another person, and that other person takes away your energy because they project negative energy onto you, okay? And then you think that person is responsible for hurting me, for taking away my energy. But it's not true. You get your energy, let's say, from yourself, from the universe, from up here, from God, from whatever you want to believe. But it is your thoughts about that person, about events, where you lower your own energy yourself. And that's very, very important to understand. It's never that person. It's never the circumstances. It is always our own thoughts and our own feelings about certain people or situations that reduce our own energy level. And once you realize that, and I said before, awareness is the first step to everything. Once you realize that, you can protect yourself because obviously you don't need negative influences in your life or negative people, and you need to get rid of them. Or secondly, you need to be aware that whatever another person says or does is irrelevant because it has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with them. Okay? Now the next thing is when we talk about dealing with difficult people, I used to have a lot of investors. I had about 500 investors during my time with Hemis. And I had investors who invested $500,000, $100,000, $200,000. So I had a lot of big, and then I had investors who invested $5,000 or $10,000, so small investors. And sometimes I got people, and it's usually not the ones with a lot of money, it's usually the ones with $5,000, who are just a pain in the butt to deal with, who are difficult, who ask you a million questions, who have expectations, who bother you, and who are just negative. Okay, in some way. They want to be part of whatever your company is, but because you think, oh, I can't turn down clients, I need to take them, they make your life hell. And what I've realized is this: you need to protect yourself and your own energy if you want to succeed in business. So sometimes that means saying no, refusing to take, let's say, an investor, send back his money and just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with you. I don't want you to be part of my team, of my group. And that's better. Not taking every client. Sometimes a client can be just difficult and you just don't need the headache, okay? Now, when you are in charge, when you're the president or CEO of a company and you're trying to run the whole organization, sometimes one bad employee or one person emotionally blocks you and makes your life hell. And my advice to you is get rid of that person immediately, as soon as possible, because you have enough problems already. You don't need that kind of stress in your life. Sometimes it means taking a financial loss. Sometimes it means another problem, so to speak. But if it doesn't feel right, you need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of that person, that client, that employee, whatever it is that bothers you. And that is a lesson that I had to learn and pay a high price for it. So that's important. Also, you need to have, let's say if you're here, you're the CEO, and you have, let's say, someone in charge here of administration or whatever it is, okay? So what you need to do is you need to have your secretary or your personal assistant block you and deal with those people who are a pain in the butt, okay? So you need to have a clear head. You need to have a clear energy so you can function, so you can focus on making the business happen. And sometimes it helps to have an assistant or someone or a manager or someone who just deals with this BS, okay, or the people who are difficult, so that you can function well. I remember everybody wanted to talk to me personally, and everybody wanted to directly have something to say, and somehow what used to happen is, let's say it was 9 o'clock in the morning, I started work, and then I got this negative conversation or whatever, and it was 10 minutes, but it ruined my entire day, okay? And you don't want that to happen. You need momentum in the beginning. You need power. You need to have positive feelings and emotions. And when something like that happens, it can sometimes take away the joy. It can take away, that happiness. And you don't want that to happen. So protect yourself, protect your energy. First of all, become aware that it has nothing to do with you, everything to do with them. Second of all, have someone to help you, protect you. And third of all, say no, refuse the client if it's not good for you. And finally, I want to talk about difficult situations. Now, every one of us has roadblocks or difficult situations. And if we're really completely honest with ourselves, most of those situations are solvable, but the main problem is fear. Okay, false evidence appearing real, like Anthony Robbins said. But what it is typically is fear of failure or fear of rejection. Okay? So once you overcome these two fears, and it takes self-confidence and courage to overcome this, and just believe, and sometimes you just have to do it to overcome fear, but once you conquer those fears, nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. But a lot of times, we are our own worst enemy because we hold ourselves back because of fear. Okay, fear of failure. Sometimes it's even fear of success. Okay, oh, if I become successful, I have to pay so much in taxes, and I don't want to pay taxes. I mean, something irrational like this. Or if I become successful and I drive a Ferrari, then my brother or sister are going to hate me, or whatever it might be. Okay, so you need to face your fears. You need to look at it, and then you need to just do it. Okay, if your goal is worthwhile, and if you want it, and if that's it, you can't hold yourself back because of fear. Fear is your worst enemy. You are your own worst enemy. So think about it, look at it, write it down, do whatever you need to do, but then make a plan of action, and then don't worry about it anymore, and just go for it and get it done. Sometimes being naive, sometimes not knowing what the potential problems could be, help you actually just to make it happen. So you are allowed to think about it once. You're allowed to worry about it once. But once you make a decision, you need to stick with the decision, and you need to fully, wholeheartedly make it happen. And you cannot let fear hold you back. I wish you all the success in the world. And please, if you have a successful story, let me know. I'm eager to hear it. Thank you very much.